Yo, so I've been watching some of the Critical Drinkers videos, and this guy's commentary is like a weird, repetitive assault on our collective intelligence.
The trite and tediously predictable girl boss trope that's been crowbarred into almost every piece of media. The tough, self-reliant girl boss, strong, independent girl boss, overbearing, aggressive, infallible girl, burdened by a strong, empowered girl. The rise of the unstoppable, infallible girl. The message.
Basically, his whole channel is about how writers preoccupied with a woke agenda are not able to tell good stories.
A show that values quality, accuracy, and authenticity over the message, whose main focus is telling a good story rather than pushing tedious 2024 activism. It's more interested in telling a compelling story than pushing some tedious social political message.
And look, I think there can be some truth to that idea, but I think the Drinker is a perfect embodiment of everything he criticizes. He's a propagandist who prioritizes his own flavor of the message instead of interesting analysis or critique, which he is garbage at giving because he doesn't seem to understand anything he watches. But before I pick apart his dumb opinions on movies, let's take a look at a recent video of his about the Oscars. It starts off with him rambling about how Hollywood is bad and how the Oscars are cringe, which I kinda agree, it is masturbatory nonsense. But then he says this.
Well, there was definitely some weird moments that left me scratching my head last night, like having John Cena walk out on stage butt naked to present an awards. Jesus, it's like some weird hazing ritual from an Ivy League university. Except this is one fraternity that no sane person would want to join. Also, I think I speak for every straight man on the planet when I say that Sweeney absolutely should have done that bit instead.
Now, normally I would just think that's a bit of an odd thing to say in the middle of your video like that randomly. As a straight man, I would love to see this particular attractive lady naked. Am I right, fellas? By the way, Sydney, if you're watching, I'm straight, not gay, straight, and I'd love to see her coconuts. I love to motorboat them. This is gonna sound a little schizo for me, but I feel like there's a recent thing where certain people try really hard to virtue signal about how hot Sydney Sweeney is. Like, as if her tits are some kind of beacon of anti-woke non-degeneracy. I'm not making that up, I don't know why it's happened, but I've literally seen people call her boobs like anti-woke or anti-liberal. He even used the same clip in his video that was in this viral tweet. It has over 50,000 likes and it's claiming wokeness is dead because of boobs, I guess? Come on, that's not just coincidence. Again, I normally wouldn't say anything about a comment like this, but I think this guy's unironically a massive virtue signaler. And in this video, he also makes a couple of weirdly outdated political jokes.
To mention the prospect of a divisive election year and the dreaded Orange Man returning to the White House.
This lady and Orange Man bad in 2024? Come on, brother. No Trump skibbity mewing gooning? Okay, the reason I've said all this is I want to establish that almost everything he says has like a sneaky underlying conservatism to it. Even in these innocuous examples I used, it feels glaringly obvious to me what he's trying to do.
There was a decent little musical number from Ryan Gosling, which I think was Hollywood's way of finally accepting the fact that Ken was the real star of Barbie, despite the movie's attempts to put him down in every possible way.
There's no way he still believes this. How is he still peddling the line that the movie hated Ken? To make it clear to you guys, the Drinker thinks because Ken started the movie as a second-class citizen in Barbie Land, in his review he said that that was a reflection of the writer's true feelings about men.
They have no power or say in how their society is run, and they're basically looked down on as a bit silly and irrelevant by the Barbies. Oh my goodness, what could the writers possibly be trying to tell us about their views on men?
Which was unfathomably stupid. It's like thinking Quentin Tarantino believes black people should be slaves because he made Django Unchained. I like how he's smugly proclaiming that Hollywood finally realized that Ken was a star of Barbie. Yeah, the character who had the most interesting arc, who had the most heroic, bombastic musical number at the end, the guy who unshackles himself from being Barbie's sidekick to being his own man. Hollywood didn't need to figure that out, you did. Okay, I don't watch a lot of movies these days, so it's hard to confidently say that every review he does is dumb, but I did love Mulan as a kid and I watched Spiderverse, so let's see what he says about those. Okay, that review was trash. The problem is the stuff he says is at best shallow, and at worst just obviously wrong and incredibly stupid.
I can't shake the feeling that the script is doing everything in its power to play down Peter Parker, like it's afraid the audience will somehow start rooting for him over Miles if he's shown to be too capable and confident. The first movie portrayed him as an aging, burned out loser who only redeems himself at the end, while the second film morphs him into a bumbling, hapless father in a pink bathrobe who for some reason keeps taking his his baby along on life-threatening adventures, despite having a perfectly capable mother at home to look after it. Is this some weird attempt to mock and belittle the Spider-Man that most people know and love, who incidentally just happens to be the only straight white man in the entire movie? I don't know, man, it just kinda leaves a sour taste in my mouth, that's all.
Yeah, this Peter is not the same as other Peters. I don't think white male has anything to do with it. Firstly, he didn't try and take his kid on loads of dangerous adventures. He took her to the Spider Sanctuary or whatever. You know, with all the different Spider-Men. It's perfectly reasonable to think that would be safe. Also, she's a spider baby. Maybe she's literally safer with him than with her powerless mom. As for claims that he's some sort of incompetent loser, bro, he's literally Miles' mentor. And in the chase scene, he caught up to Miles while most of the other Spider-Men failed to do so. While he was carrying his kid and in a bathrobe. I mean, he was kind of depressed for parts of the first movie, but it's a redemption story. And by the end, Peter was a confident badass. I don't know why I'm arguing this sincerely. Like, this guy has to be a troll. This is like the worst version of cinema since possible.
At least the right side has road signs, but the left side apparently doesn't get any signs.
God, I'm glad CinemaSins fell off. Anyway, his criticism is not only unfounded, it feels like he's stretching just so he can say, oh look, white male woke oppression. Okay, Mulan, save me.
Animated Mulan wasn't particularly big or strong or good at fighting because that wouldn't be realistic given her background. She was actually kind of clumsy and unsure of herself, and she had to work extra hard just to keep up with her male counterparts. She even got her ass kicked a few times by her commanding officer, and because she's smaller and weaker than the others, naturally she struggles to keep up with them.
Okay, this guy like hallucinated a whole different movie. He needs to take his meds. Like that training montage he cites to demonstrate how weak Mulan is. Literally all the recruits struggled a lot in it. The movie didn't really frame it as though Mulan was exceptionally weak, and by the end she was actually fitter and faster than all her peers.
Mulan is actually a pretty good example of positive life lessons. The struggles and eventual successes of the main character demonstrate the value of determination and perseverance even when the odds are against you. That a person's worth isn't defined by the size of their muscles, and even if you're not as big and strong as other people, it doesn't mean that you can't go on to achieve great things. It's all about playing the hand that you're dealt.
I don't know how you can watch Mulan and the main thing you take away is that you should persevere to compensate for your genetic deficiencies. The main challenges Mulan faced were not physical, they were societal. It couldn't have been spelled out any more clearly.
I will never pass for a perfect bride.
Gendered expectations, pressures, limitations, feeling unable to be herself. Like, bro, the movie wasn't about a woman overcoming her lack of muscles. Like, to frame it that way, it can't even be delusional, it must be deliberate. Since that came out in the 90s, not modern woke Hollywood, and it's a beloved movie already, he can't safely criticize it. So he has to just twist it around enough to say that, oh, it actually agrees with my worldview. Man, I bet if Avatar came out today, people like The Drinker would either lose their minds or completely misunderstand it. He seems incapable of interesting analysis or critique, unless it's framed within some culture war nonsense. Okay, I just found something really funny. Here's The Drinker in an interview talking about how Japanese films are getting more popular because they're so different.
There's a reason people like in the West are starting to draw more and more towards, you know, Korean or Japanese filmmaking. It's precisely because it's a bit different from what we get.
And then he gets asked to give an example.
Yeah, what is the most recent Japanese film or at least entertainment that you enjoyed so far?
What am I thinking of? See, a lot of them would be older ones, like Old Boy, for example.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one. I know it's not Japanese, but yeah, probably stuff like that. You know, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I really like that. And it's like Chinese, I think. But yeah, like it's...
Bro, this guy just talks out of his butt, and things get even worse.
Like, yeah, I think we can all come to the same conclusion that children being sold into child sex trafficking is a terrible thing and should absolutely be stopped at any cost. And so a movie about trying, a main hero who's trying to prevent that, is trying to rescue children from the most horrifying situations imaginable. Wow, that should be the sort of thing that you should really have no qualms about supporting. And
you're saying that what a movie is about is something that you should have no qualms about supporting? That merely the subject matter is something that you should support?
He is explicitly putting a political agenda ahead of artistic merit. Honestly, this dude's popularity is one of the most blackpilling things, just because it's so blatantly dumb. Also, by the way, girl bosses or wokeness or whatever aren't killing movies. TikTok is killing movies. Video games are killing movies. The new streaming landscape, which makes it hard to finance mid-budget experimental movies, is killing movies. Yeah, like I used to watch 1 or 2 movies a week as a kid. Now there's just other stuff to do, so I watch like 1 or 2 a year. Anyway, I guess that's about it. Sorry for the lack of uploads. See you next time. Bye.